Hello everybody in YouTube land and welcome to a new Arkham Horror video where I am going to be doing deck building as decided by the wheels. Yes, we love putting our content into the hands of fate. How this is going to work is I'm going to first roll an investigator. We are then going to roll what the deck building, basically, what the role. I was like, I forgot the name completely of what that's supposed to be, and then we're going to see what our collection is for that, and I think that's going to be kind of the fun little new thing to try out here. E-Forest, 38 months of the Golden Table, just in time for the wheel. Thank you for your support. Alright, I think we start by rolling our investigator here, and as you can see, I actually already have some. I have Andre Patel here. He is one of the new starter deck investigators. He is included here, but I have those on reroll, and there's going to be some like Carolyn Fern's starter deck, Daniela Core, because for the Chapter 2 investigators, when it comes to their set, I'm going to include the starter decks that were kind of part of their chapter. So Roland Banks, Rex Murphy, Finn Edwards, they're all going to get the initial like starter decks, and then everyone in Chapter 2 is going to get the new starter decks. That's kind of how I'm going to go for this series, just to kind of have be a little bit structured. And you might also be watching this in the video in the future, or as it's coming out, being like, hey, this isn't fair. I can't buy all these cards in paper. Well, I've said when they announced that stuff was going to start going out of print, proxying is really good, and also there are some other ways to play Arkham that you should check out as well if you want to play with cards that you cannot get anymore because they are out of print. So this is kind of a video to give you some ideas or to explore your collection that you do have to see what you can come up with. So I think that's enough yammering. Let's spin the wheel. Do you think they spin all at the same time? No, one at a time. That's exciting. All right, who is our investigator gonna be? We're starting with Mandy Thompson. Okay. So there's a rule whenever a wheel's involved, is you cannot re-spin the wheel. Now the question is, are we going to do this taboo list, or are we going to do this without the taboo list? I'll decide that once we start seeing some other stuff. So, Mandy Thompson, congratulations. You are our first deck for this series. Now let's see your role. Fighter would be very interesting. I think Flexor support would be very fun to see here. And it's looking like we're going to see a fighter Mandy Thompson. Okay, that is... that is, intimidating. That is going to be a tough deck for us to put together. So now we're going to roll 3 cards, three boxes that we get to play with as well. And then she's also going to get Nacho, Harvey Walters, Winifred, Jacqueline, and Stella for this as well. Yeah, the series is starting off with a big bang for sure. All right. So our first pack here is going to be the Dunnage Legacy, which is actually kind of huge. That's actually really big for a Combat Mandy, because it opens up the Strange Solution, and it also gives us Look What I Found. So those are 2 huge things. Not Look What I Found, sorry, I've Got a Plan. The other card in the quote. So that's a huge get there. So we're going to roll to see what our second one here. Drown City. Okay. Drown City is a little bit... I don't really know what's in there. I really want to see Circle Undone for our last one here. Sorry, I guess she also always gets... You always get your own cycle as well. The Dream Eaters. So I should remove Dream Eaters from Wheel 3. Because you always get your own cycle. That should be a rule that always happens to this. So you get 4 cycles in the starter decks to work with this. All right, give me Circle Undone would be huge. It's looking like it's not going to be Circle Undone. It's going to be the Feast of Hemlock Vale, which has got to have something, right? which is gonna have something. Alright, so we have Revised Core, the starter decks, Dunwich Legacy, Drowned City, Dream Eaters, and the Feast of Hemlock Vale. So now we go to the question as if we're going to play with this with the taboo list or not. I think because this is probably... because this is a fighter Mandy Thompson, 50 cards seems like a nightmare. So I think we're going to go no taboo for this one. Also because then we can use the Necronomicon. And you're 100% right, Astute. Frick the taboo list, it's 2026. We're in the Arkham Wild West. We can start doing whatever the hell we want here. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to look through... I wish there was a way that I could look at my... Oh, I can look at them individually. Okay, perfect. So we need to kind of see what we're going to do. And my hope for this series, in this deck building, this RNG deck building series, is that I'm going to build a level 0 deck, but I'm going to include kind of an upgrade path in here as well. We don't really have the way to take notes, like a big notes section, but we will... Oh, no, we do have notes here. We can put this stuff here. Okay, we can do that. Arkham Build is something new every day that you look at it. Alright, so let's just kind of see what's working here. I am very disappointed that I did not get the Circle Undone because Occult Lexicon would actually be really big here. But I think we're going to, in the long term, move towards the Necronomicon. And then we have to find other sources of enemy management, because we are a fighter. Like, our goal is that when we come to the table, we are going to get everything done. We're going to just do the whole thing ourselves. So we're going to flag a few cards here. I don't think it's going to be the evasion one on the Dial of Ancients. Potentially not, because, like, how are we going to get it translated? We have to evade 4 enemies? It doesn't look likely. Disc of Itzamna is probably going to be a method that we're going to employ to get there. Honestly, Otherworld Codex is actually pretty alright enemy management in specifically Mandy Thompson. I brought this to a patron game day, and it actually worked out really well. The only problem is we're lacking the, I think, the secret synergy that can get this going. The Dream Diaries aren't doing this. I mean, they might be able to help because there's the one that makes it with... We could just go to Translate City, right? So we do Dream Diary. We go into Madman, which cares about enemies. And then we use, like, the damage Dial of the Ancients. Interesting. I can't promise that these decks are going to be good, but we're going to try to make them as good as we possibly can. That's kind of like the hope here. Okay. Ooh, we have the Myconid. We actually have a lot of tools to get things, to do enemy management here. I think the intention is that you kind of just try to find the best tools to make work, right? Look what I've got a plan. I said, look what I found again. I don't think Barricade is it. I don't think Expose Weakness is it. I don't think these are the ones that are jumping out to me as what I really want to be doing here. Transmogrify is definitely some enemy management. And I'm saying enemy management because while we're going to be killing things, I don't think we're going to be killing things too crazily. Alright, so let's look at our rogue stuff here. Okay, nothing too crazy. Give me the Mystics. I mean, Mystic has Spectral Razor, which lets us attack at 8. So, right now, Mystics are front runner. Lots of card draw, but any good search. Yeah, we have the Old Book of Lore, which is pretty good search when we want to use it. So Voice of Ra isn't going to be great here because it's not symbol token. But I mean, it's still probably fine because it's not like we're going to be putting Blessed and Cursed in. Alright, I think right now, I think just on the basis of Spectral Razor, this is probably the front runner. Because Spectral Razor is a very good kill card. How are we going to kill bosses? The long-term plan for that one is I've got a plan. And then we upgrade into Acidic Ichor. Flare only puts us at 4 fists, so I don't really... So like, the idea is that we don't want to be using our fist to fight. Survivor level 1 cards are really good. Okay. I think it's gonna be Mystic. I think Mystic is gonna be our secondary class here. Alright, so I think what we gotta do is we first gotta build a foundation that we're gonna start with here. We want the level 0 deck that is going to get us going good. Right? So I think what we need to do is what I always like to do is I like to start with my hand slots. So we have a few pieces of consideration for our hand slots. We have Dream Diary, which can upgrade into a way for us to deal with enemies. We have Old Book of Lore, which is going to give us a phenomenal amount of search. We have, on the upgraded side of things, we can go into the Necronomicon. We have the Otherworld Codex, while maybe not the best enemy management, is not bad in Mandy Thompson, because Searching 12 is really good. Like, Searching 12 is very good. To be able to find the enemy to eliminate. And we do have ways to refill secrets, which, I mean, also does help the Old Book of Lore. I think the Dream Diary plan might be a little bit too cute. And, hey, Lucas, how's it going? I think my, what's really resonating with me here is Old Book of Lore in one hand, Otherworld Codex in the other hand. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, but we should have access, yeah, to Arcane Enlightenment, which does give us an additional hand slot. Which honestly might be worth the consideration. I don't know how much the Dream Diary is worth it, but at the same time, the Dream Diary could really get us going to like a good place for this kind of thing. Huh, it's interesting. Allies slot. Let's look at our upgraded allies. None of these necessarily fight, like assist us with the fighting thing. Abigail Foreman might be the best. Resolve its effects again. This is a good question. Any rules dogs in chat know what it means by resolve its effects again? Resolve its effects again. Let's go to Arkham DB and let's look up the rules section. And then let's look up the word effects. Here we go. A card effect is an effect that arises from the resolution of an ability text printed on or gained by a card. Card effects may be preceded by cost, triggering conditions, play restrictions, and/or play permissions. Once initiated, players may resolve as much of the effect as they are able, unless the word of the must resolve as much as unless the word of may is used. All aspects of an effect have time and priority over all after triggering conditions that might arise as consequence of that effect. The expiration of a lasting effect or cessation of a constant ability is not considered to be generating. Card effects may be preceded by costs. So is the cost part of the effect? See ability on page 2. I would love to. Costs. See costs on page 7. Cards resource cost. Oh. So my thought process is that if I'm able to, if the effects does not include the cost, then Otherworldly Codex ain't bad because you get like a bunch of search for it. Card effects may be preceded by costs. Okay, so that makes me feel like the cost is part of the effect. So we're not going to do that idea. So none of these allies really jump out too much. So I feel like I might actually even just play Laboratory Assistant in the ally slot. Okay. I mean, the Myconid is another option. Where was that guy? Does that motherfucker not take up an ally slot? He's slotless, right? He's slotless. What were they thinking making this guy slotless? Alright, we're going to play the Ravenous Myconid. Because the damage version is going to be a way for us to deal with enemies. We can also get some clues. This one makes it, you know, you still get the clue. Which works really good with I've Got a Plan because we do need to be able to deal damage to, so we do be able to get clues to deal the damage, so Uncanny Growth could be the way to do that. Trace, 30 bucks on the golden table, thank you for your support! Okay, I don't think we're gonna throw the book at them. I think that's, I don't know, I don't get this card, to be real with all of you. I don't really understand it. I do want a Spectral Razor. And we are gonna take Transmogrify. These are things that are what we call in the biz non-negotiable. Okay. We do, I think the plan for the books is alright. I am going to take Old Book of Lore in our starting deck here. Because this gives us the search that allows us to draw cards. And this makes it basically like better during downtime when enemies are managed. But again, we're going to have to work hard for enemy management here. Like, I feel like boss battles are going to be a nightmare. We do want to get the no slot Strange Solution in here. Because the Acidic Ichor variant, especially when it's untabooed, which is what this deck is going to be a really useful way for us to get there. But one thing that I think is unfortunate is that we do not get eCash 3 in this deck, so we cannot refill it. But I mean, that is a lot of damage that we will have in the upgraded version. Like, the downside of this deck is that our damage cards are going to be spread out among a large variety of cards that we have in our deck. But the upside is that we're Mandy Thompson, so we can find those cards because they're it's kind of our whole shtick, right? We are going to take Astounding Revelation. Being able to play secrets on assets is really good. And then what we're quickly going to do is just look at the secret text here. I think the Otherworld Codex is going to be the way we're going to go on the upgrade. We could do the Necronomicon. We also do want the upgraded Old Book of Lore. And I think that that looks pretty alright. Okay. So we have 14 of 16 cards, and we have a pretty alright foundation so far. I am going to take the Discovit Zamna for the slot. And then we are going to prioritize upgrading this. But the 2 damage does make it so that we have to spend less damage in other places. Occult Lexicon would be really good. I think Occult Lexicon, if you do have access to Circle Undone, I would be doing the Occult Lexicon over the Otherworldly Codex, or alternatively, I'd be playing Arcane Enlightenment to do both, if that makes sense. Okay. As mentioned, I think I am going to go with Laboratory Assistant as my ally here. I think that that's just like the safest plan. Let's look at our Mystic cards again a little bit more. I think if our plan was to use like Encyclopedia or Dream Diary, Whispers of Doom probably wouldn't be a bad way to go about this. Same with Drain Essence. Like, the reason we're using Spectral Razor is because it has both of them. And the thing that we really need to be aware of here is how do we not just crumble... How do we not just crumble to like a 2 health enemy, right? We don't want to use too many of our resources. I think this requires... I mean, in the long term, it's Ravenous Myconid. How are we going to do this in the first scenario? I think realistically, we kind of lean on our teammate a little bit, which sounds like it's kind of defeating the purpose of this series for me to say, oh, just have your teammate solve your issues. But the reality is that deck building should be done as a unit. You're going to build stronger decks because of it. Oculus Mortem. I'm not going to frick with that, I think. I hear someone's voice in the back of my head saying play Dr. Charles West, but I don't think I'm going to do that. Okay. Acidic Ichor, long term. Ravenous Myconid, long term. Barricade, I don't really want to. I'm going to take Burning the Midnight Oil for some economy. We could go Mind Over Matter. That's how you kill a 2 health enemy, right? Oh, Occult Invocation as well. Yes, yes, yes. The Harvey Walters package here. Okay. So I could play Research Librarian to kill one of my searches. We could play him as like a one of. No, because we already have the rounding up from the Ravenous Myconid. Interesting. So now we just kind of want good cards. I'll take the Inquiring Mind. That's a good level 0 card. I don't think we're going to take Well Funded. I think we're going to take Shortcut. Let me look at the neutrals here. Perception is normally such an include here. I don't think it's a terrible option, but I don't know how excited I am. Normally my last 2 cards in my deck are kind of used for they're kind of used for teching for the campaign, but we're not really doing that here. What do I feel like I'm missing? I mean, I could just go for another hand slot card here, because, like, really, what are we cutting? We can cut the Inquiring Minds. I really like Dream Enhancing Serum as an option. Can you judge this deck on how likely Travis would do the look at you meme image if you told him you brought this as the group's fighter? Oh yeah, no, this would be like a... This would honestly be like a 10 out of 10 chance of this deck getting that look. There's no way that Travis would approve this, but I can't stop the wheels. The wheels decide all, right? The wheel has decreed this, that I need to build a Mandy Thompson fighter deck. It has to happen. I can't say no. So I'm just trying to do the best that I can. That's cool, Lucas. Trish is going to rock it. A little bit wary about Sister Mary on that, but I think Trish is going to be fine. Seeker is a very good card pool. Okay. Okay. I'm going to just look up the word search. I mean, winning green's not terrible compared. What does she help with? The Spectral Razor, the I've got a plan in the long run. What do we have on the upgrade side? Not too much. I think we're going to lean heavily on the Book of Lore, which kind of makes me want to put in the Research Librarian. I mean, what if we drop the Laboratory Assistant? Oh, it's so tough. It's so tough. Otherworldly Codex actually kills enemy. You are way behind, Holy Helicopter. We're already 25 minutes in the video. We've talked about Otherworldly Codex. Believe you me, we've talked about it. Okay, maybe we drop the Lab Assistant, bring in the Research Librarian. The first one's a whiff if we don't have the Old Book of Lore in our opening hand. Because then we can find the other tome we're going to put in here. I think that's nicer. The Dream Enhancing Serum is interesting because I think a lot of these cards we want to hold, but at the same time, I think we won't have the privilege of holding them because we are the fighter, right? We are going to have to be killing enemies as they come. I kind of want like more economy, I think is what I'm kind of looking at. Let's look at our curve here. Something that you should always kind of check out is looking at your deck's curve. So we have 13 cards that cost 2 or more. Which to me is not a high curve. I would not call that like a high curve in Arkham, but I think it's on the higher side. Like, I think that if you're hovering around 3, like if your curve is a kind of a straight line at the top, you're going to be on the higher side. So like economy is something that we could consider. I could just go emergency cache because then we can upgrade into emergency cache 2. I could do cryptic writings. I could do Voice of Ra, but I kind of want to upgrade into something better. Cryptic Writings is fine with the Old Book of Lore. Astounding Revelation, while it can gain resources in the long term, we are going to be looking at placing secrets on assets so we can do more Otherworldly Codex stuff. So I think we're just going to do a solid and play 2 emergency caches. And this would kind of be our level 0 deck that we have here. Now, we need to start looking at our upgrades and start working on our side deck. So, to do that, we're going to also then make notes in here about the priority in terms of where we want these cards to go in terms of our upgrade recommendation. So, I can't wait for Kluver Michael McGlenn. Don't put that evil on the Mia. Reels, do not listen to Astute. Astute is cursed here. Do not listen to him. Alright, so what we would like to do is, I think, when resolving... Sorry, at level 0, when resolving your mulligan, the biggest priority is Old Book of Lore. This will carry into upgrades... but the cards around Old Book of Lore in your mulligan will change. The main reason you are prioritizing Old Book of Lore is that it will allow you to further shape your deck, your draw in the future. And the mulligan will pay dividends. Research Librarian isn't a priority in the mulligan unless you happen to hit 2. Keeping 1 is fine if you want to eat Mandy's weakness, but that may sacrifice power now for power later, which fighters don't generally have the privilege of doing. And remember, this is a fighter Mandy deck, as dictated by the wheel. Around Old Book of Lore, you'll want to find enemy management options. Enemy management options, but at level 0, you are not too picky as to what those options look like. Spectral Razor is probably the best card in your deck, but you will want to focus on researching both Ravenous Myconid and Strange Solution in Scenario 1, because those will give you the best power in future scenarios. When I say mulligan for Old Book of Lore, I mean all 5 cards in your hand if Old Book of Lore isn't there. There are no cards I would keep over it. That's just the reality of the situation. Okay. Preview it. Look at that. It looks so good. Expect a lot of pressure on you with this Mandy deck. Play it at your own risk. You will need to use your tools wisely, and this deck will work better at 3+ players, but that shouldn't be too much of a surprise. Isn't Spectral Razor fighting F4? Yeah, it is. We gotta do it! Okay. Alright, but then as we upgrade, things are gonna get better. So let's start looking at those upgrades, and then we're gonna put priority on them. Old Book of Lores are gonna go in the side. Sorry, Old Book of Lores and Otherworld Codex are gonna go in the side deck here. Disc of Zamna upgrade is gonna go in the side deck. You know, I mean, we could go Widden. We could go back to this Widden green plan. Yeah, let's do it. We're going to drop the Research Librarian, and we're going to go to Widden green. And then we have to go into my notes section here. All right, we'll cut this out. Widden makes Spectral Razor a 5 without any commits, which is very doable. 4 is rough, but I think a thing that is important for people to keep in mind too is what I mentioned earlier, how you are not on your own here. Like, you could, if I was playing this deck, I would hold the Spectral Razors for the Inquiring Minds, or like the Inquiring Minds for the Spectral Razors, or alternatively, I mean, maybe Unexpected Courages could have a home in this level 0 deck, but I think you just have to, like, commit what you got, right? The Occult Invocation. Spectral Razor. I guess Occult Invocation are probably the best cards in your level 0 deck. Does Mind Over Matter work with it until the end of the round? You may. Yes, you could. You could. Because it's still just a fight action, right? That's it. Well, we will put that. It is a good thing to point out from chat, so we will put that here. Winning with Mandy is good, but it is specialized specific search for only 2 cards. Yep, but we still want to find those cards, right? We still want to find those cards. And we also need to eat our failed search ASAP. And while Research Librarian does that, Research Librarian doesn't do anything on his own, right? Like, he just soaks for 1 and 1. Winning green in the long run is going to give us a search every turn, which gives us more of these Astounding Revelation triggers, right? Because we also have those. And we also have the upgraded version gives Brain, which in the long term does help the Spectral Razor, right? So, like, though that's the difference I think that she has over Research Librarian. You could put her in at level 0. You could put the Research Librarian in at level 0 and then replace it with the Winning Green. I don't think that's a terrible change, but I do think it causes some other issues that come with it. Regarding Spectral Razor, this is a card that is not a solution by itself, but it does grant 3 damage, which we can't overlook at level 0. Inquiring Mind and Mind over Matter can help make this more consistent, but it'll be less reliable. And don't look at throwing it at a test without something else backing it up. But don't look at using it for an attack. You'll likely leave disappointed. Alright, back to our upgrade stuff here. So in the side decks, Old Book of Lore, Otherworld Codex, Disc of Itzamna, we then of course go to our upgraded Ravenous Myconid. We're going to grab the Carnivorous Strain, which is going to become a priority when we do upgrade, and then the Strange Solutions are going to become the Acidic Ichors. Alright, so then we go to the notes. As you upgrade, your 2 big priorities are Ravenous Myconid and Strange Solution. Turning these Carnivorous Strain, Carnivorous and Acidic will give you big boosts of damage. 2 big priorities are Ravenous Myconid and Strange Solution. Turning these into Carnivorous and Acidic will give you big boosts of damage and will become high priorities for the mulligan. But the number 1 is still Old Book of Lore, but I wouldn't mulligan those away in later scenarios. Okay. We're going to want the upgraded I've Got a Plan. Spectral Razor also could eventually upgrade out once we get some other things that come with it. We do have the upgraded Mind over Matter. I'd probably put that in there just because it replaces itself. No upgraded Occult Invocation. Replace Inquiring Minds. This card. I guess also in the long term, Otherworld the Codex. feel like this Otherworld Codex could replace Spectral Razor or Occult Invocation. Is that what the card's called? It is. It's kind of the words that are just like in my brain that I don't even know why or how it locked in there so much. Alright, for Astounding Revelation, after upgrading, the priority for this secret will be Otherworld Codex. So what we got here, 6, 10, realistically 14. You should be this one in the side deck, not the level 0. And then also, let me also just go with this one. This could be Research Librarian at level 0. Look at all these notes that I get to add in now. That's kind of fun. All right, so 10, 14, 18, 22. What is that? 30. This one should be the upgraded one. 34, 38, 39. That's probably good enough for like a deck foundation, right? So then we can go, what is it? To upgrade priority? Is it 2 to bold it? It is bolded! Look at that, chat. So upgrade order. Myconid and a Strange Solution 4 should be added in quickly. Add first. Rounding out. What if we do a little dot there, chat? Oh no, that's going to cause bad things to happen. Ravenous Myconid 4, or Strange Solution 4, should be added first. Rounding out the starting XP with an Otherworld Codex. An Otherworld Codex. A Disc of Idzamna. Or a Wooden Green. I should probably put the numbers here. Ideally, you want to get 6 XP in the first scenario, so that's where I'm looking at this. Round out the Strange Solution or Myconid. Following it up with the other upgrades mentioned in the first point. I've got a plan to... you know what? This could probably be up in here. Round out the Strange Solution or Myconid, following up with other upgrades in the first point, and then I think after that it's kind of free game. It's kind of free game. I think you just want to get the damage stuff first. Actually, I guess like I hate telling people how to upgrade because I do my upgrades from scenario to scenario. You know, I don't really kind of just like say, oh yes, this is the hand wave, always how you should do it, because I don't really think Arkham plays like that. It's kind of free game. Old Book of Lore 3 is a nice upgrade, but not a crazy priority. Esoteric Method is a fine upgrade to round out XP gain because it's Inquiring Mind with less of a restriction, but more of a downside. Okay. I don't think this deck is good, but I think it's the best deck I could have made given the situation. Because this was a random investigator, a random roll, and a random pool. Like, you feasibly also could get the Necronomicon. I actually just want to make some notes here. I didn't include it, but you can also grab the Necronomicon 5 because it ain't forbidden with no taboo. And then also mind over matter will be important to use for fighting small enemies that are not worth other resources. Yeah, I would not play this deck at 2 players. But again, I don't think that's too much of a crazy thing to say, because it is Fighter Mandy deck. Like I said, I don't think this deck is good. I'd bring it to a 3-player campaign with Travis and Bryn because we kind of like doing stupid shit together. It's kind of fun that way. I would change this deck with a full collection, but I think that building this and playing this deck, building this deck with the stipulation that I had here, I actually am pretty happy with how it turned out. I actually think it's pretty, I think it's got the tools to get stuff done. It's going to struggle and it's going to be tough, and yeah, you are using a Spectral Razor at 4, but I do think that there are pieces. Maybe in my head, when I put this card in the deck initially and chose it, I decided that it was like, oh no, it works the same as Read the Signs. That might have happened, and I might have crossed some wires. But I still think you have to take what you can get here, but you just kind of like round out everything with it. This is not a deck where you set and forget. You're searching constantly for the next thing during downtime to prepare for the fight that is going to be coming. I'd play it, though. I'd play it. But thank you, Wheel. I'm forever grateful for what you have provided today. And I just want you to know that I would never defy the wheel. You have made it so, and that's how it's going to be. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this series. If you want to see more of this, let me know. I normally also don't do the typing in the video, giving context for my deck lists, because I usually let the video speak for themselves. But if you also like that, let me know, because I can kind of, as always, adapt to the feedback from viewers as I put stuff together. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good one, and as always, a double salute for a GG's.